Teeter. What are you staring at? Interesting. Anyhow, today we're gonna hopefully cut hay this afternoon. So I've got a few things to fix on the mower. And at this point in this whole saga of things, it's not even a point of I'm gonna go out and make hay with junk equipment that nobody uses anymore. It's a I'm pissed off at it and I'm gonna keep at it till it works now kind of deal. So I got these are two brand new mower drive heads that I got from Parts Depot through Maybaugh. Well, they had one on the shelf, and one of them I got through the depot. So those can go on the sickle head or the knife, and then these pieces here, that spring, that bevel, and then the two halves came from Webb Cutting Components. They are brand new. Well, it's gonna end up being a whole brand new buckle for the Pitman arm. Supposed to be for a Ford 501. It looks identical to what's on there, but they didn't give any sort of dimensions to compare to, so I just bought it and wanged it. The buckle handle itself everything looks identical. I just haven't had a chance to hold it up yet, so I guess we're fixing to find out. But I mean, there's only so many ways to make them, and like this dimension from here back to the stick can't change because you have to have the spring and everything, so they got to be the same, which makes you wonder, like that piece, this piece, all this stuff, were companies actually, because I know Oliver wasn't the only one. Ford used them. There may have been other companies that used this same style of breakaway. Makes you wonder, was Oliver, Ford, all these places, were they casting these on their own? Or was there a manufacturer out there in that time frame that specialized in making mower wear parts, and they just bought them, and they made the frame and everything, and just the drives, all the wear parts, they were just buying. So, anyhow, we're going to get this stuff replaced real quick and get hooked up to the crimper and grease that, and then while we're waiting for the dew to finish burning off, I got to do a tire on the tedder, and we'll see what time that gets us at. Alright, I got the old one apart. They are indeed identical to this Ford 501. So that's neat. The only, I don't know why they added that extra hole there. It seems like that'd be a weak point, but they must have it there for a reason. But these are made in Germany. I don't know. I've never seen that foundry stamp before, so I don't know what company that would be, but maybe there's a German that recognizes that stamp. But you can see how wore out that one is compared to this one. The other thing I'm going to do, and I was going to bring it with me and forgot, I'm going to start carrying around a small oil can full of 80/90, because that hole in both these guys is actually an oil hole. You're supposed to oil this thing periodically, which I guess I kind of should have been able to guess that, but honestly thought never crossed my mind. So I got some old, like the clicker kind of oil cans where you just click the bottom. I got a bunch of those at home. I'm going to fill one up with 80/90 and just leave it in the 77. I bet this new spring is going to be tough. Oh, so surprisingly not. I guess, well, it's got to be, I guess the one thing I did not check, I guess I should check the length of that spring, huh? I mean, it can't go past that, so it's got to be, unless this spring is stretched, there's always that possibility as well. That's... So I guess I'll stick the Oliver spring back in it, because that's a fair old bit of difference. Because there's nothing... Yeah, there's no difference in the buckles. Other than the handle shaped a little different, but as far as like everything, the mechanical stuff that needs to be the same is all the same. So I guess we will stick with the Oliver spring. And that does make it a little fun. Need a drift. This is where you need about 3 sets of hands. There we go. Well, don't tell me when they're not all clapped out, you have to have those things assembled as one piece before it all goes together. That would suck. There we go, baby. There we go. There we go. Minus the bolt that fell out. Okay, and then I put blue Loctite. They're Nylock nuts with lock washers, and I put blue Loctite on there just to double down and make sure nothing can come apart. All right, Pitman arms reassembled. New mower drive, or new sickle drive head is on. Everything works except for I had to put the new spring in with the old buckle handle because, well, for 2 reasons. First off, I put it on first and I couldn't even get it to pop over center. And I mean, it'd come up against something hard. I was like, what the heck? Well, come to find out, this rivet right here that holds this little pin in that centers itself on the spring had 2 massive heads on either side of it. And when you got about 3/4 of the way over, the heads would actually hit inside the slot and it wouldn't let the buckle go all the way over. It's like, okay, I figured that out, ground the heads off, got it to where it would snap all the way over center just fine. And then it would go about 3/4 of the way over and it'd come up like soft, but it wouldn't snap over all the way. And holding this buckle up to the old buckle, these legs, I guess for the lack of a better term, are fatter this way than the ones on this one are. So it squeezes it together tighter, and it doesn't make it, or the ball's too big. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense because the sockets in here are the exact same size as the ones in the old straps, and they fit the ball perfectly. So I don't know if somebody did their math wrong, if this is a common problem, even when you try to put this on a Ford 501. This one can be made to work. It's just going to take some massaging with a grinder to get them down to the appropriate thickness to where it'll snap over center correctly. But I got tired of screwing with it, so I just threw the old one back in there because it works. Throw that one in there, it snaps over fine, locks fine, everything without doing anything, and I just got tired of screwing with that one, so we got other things to do today. So it's hooked up, greased, should be ready to go. We can try it real quick just to see how she runs. Holy crap, is that quieter. Well, that was where all the knocking was coming from. Apparently that old buckle and breakaway setup had so much slop in it. That was all the real loud knocking you heard when this thing used to be running, because that's quiet as a church mouse now, at least compared to what it was. So I'll just have to go, like I say, before we go cutting, I'll go get my oil can, because this is, like I say, upon further between browsing the book and looking at forums trying to figure out how this is all supposed to, trying to figure out my problem with why this thing kept breaking, which I'm wondering if this was, the slop is probably what caused the straps to break the last go around, because it was probably hammering with every stroke and it was just stressing that whole deal. But everything I read, that oil hole, you're supposed to stop every once in a while and shoot that full of oil, and I'm going to go with 80-90 because that's going to cling and be less likely to throw itself out, versus like a motor, which I pumped some like 30 weight motor oil in there just now just to try it, and it ran right through like a screen, like it's going through a screen door. But 80-90 should hang in there for a while. So, but I'm gonna get this folded up, get the tractor fueled up, get hooked up to the crimper. I got a tire to change. When I'm done with that, we'll probably go cut. So we'll see here in a little bit. All right, we're ready to start cutting. I thought all I had was like the little, I call them clicker style. They're just the little like pancake shaped ones that you pump the bottom of them on. But I had this pump style can that I forgot I had. So we'll see what that does. Fingers crossed everything goes okay today. It's not going to be a spectacular third cutting for as dry as we've been, but if you don't cut it, you're just going to end up with a bunch of trash underneath on first cutting next year, so may as well make it. first field's done without incident, and I had to hurry up and finish up there. Dad came pick me up. I had the guy come and get 100 bales of first cutting. So first cutting's almost completely gone. There's probably somewhere around 35 bales left up there now. Second cutting, the little bit I had of it, that was, I don't even know why I put it in the loft. That was gone like 2 days after we put it up there. So it'll just be third cutting sitting up there after this, but so far so good. Another one done without incident. The regrowth on this one actually kind of impressed me. It's a lot thicker than I thought it'd be. It's probably pretty close to on par with second cuttings. There are probably 30-ish bales out here. I guess we'll find out.
a third on the ground without a single major problem. Actually, without a single problem at all. That's more like what that mower should run like. So that was definitely the problem. I think that, well, I'd be willing to bet the bar braking and everything else all stemmed from that entire sickle drive. The straps and the ball on the drive, that whole thing being wore out, I think was the stem of all, or root of all of our problems. So not a bad day. 100 bales of first, yeah, can't talk, I'm thirsty. 100 bales of first cutting gone out of the loft and 7 acres on the ground. So tomorrow we'll ted it out, and hopefully Tuesday we'll rake it, and hopefully Wednesday we'll bale it. We shall see. So all depends on what the weather does. I specifically waited until this week. This would be week number 6 since second cutting, and B, it was supposed to be warmer this week, hoping I'd have better dry down. So, but all in all, none too bad. So I guess that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.